Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Deirdre and today I wanted to create a look based solely off of this Super Shock shadow that just inspired me so much. I just recently got this. I used this actually in my Halloween tutorial makeup look and I just love it and I wanted to play with it again. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I get inspired mostly when I do my makeup by what I'm wearing, but if not by what I'm wearing, by a specific color or like a color scheme. Not so much by palettes, because I feel like if you do solely based on a palette, you're very limited to like those color schemes in that palette. So sometimes I'll just pick a color and be like, you know what, today I really want to use this shadow, or I really want to go with this kind of color scheme. And that's how I create different looks, because I try not to wear the same thing every day or every so often. I don't know if I've ever actually created the same look other than like basic smoky eyes. I do try to do very different color combinations each and every time that I do my makeup. So with this long intro, I did create this eye look based off of this color, and I did use it in conjunction with the Jaclyn Hill X Morphe palette. I did a full face in this video, so you will see everything from head to toe as far from start to finish. So I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. So as usual, I'm going to prime my eyelids, and for that I'm going to use the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in the color medium number 20. I'm going to use the Jaclyn Hill X Morphe palette, and with a large fluffy crease brush, I'm going to go in with the color Silk Cream, and we are going to apply this to the crease area, just as our transition shade. This color is very close to my skin tone, so that's why I'm using this color. I'm going to blend it up towards the brow. Next, I'm going to go in with the color Jada, and using a Morphe M443 brush, we are going to apply this into the crease. I'm just going to pack it on, first in the areas where I want the color, and then I'll start to blend it out. I'm kind of going light-handed with this color at first, and then I will go back in and build it up in intensity, because I want to blend this color pretty far out. So I want it blown out, but I want it very light and soft. So with colors like this that are deep and dark, and especially with like darker colors like blues and blacks, they can get out of hand, so it's easier to kind of start off light-handed and then build as you go. And since we don't really have another color in this palette that we can use as a transition into a lighter blue, this is the way to get that really smooth, soft gradient blend. So now that I got that blended out kind of how I want it, I'm going to go back and deepen it up in the actual crease area. And then again, ever so gently and slowly take your time, and then start to blend that color out. You don't want to have any harsh edges. A trick you can do if you have a hard time blending out the edges is take a clean brush with no product and use that along the edges to even give you a more softer, blown out edge. Now I'm going to deepen up the outer and crease area using the color Enchanted and a Morphe M139 brush, which is a little bit more of a tapered crease brush with more of a point. and it's not as large, so I can kind of focus this more onto the crease. I'm going to start to place that color in the outer eye, and I'm also going to take it on the outer corner of the lid, and we're going to build that up. We're going to smoke it out. And again, so that you know that you're going to get a good gradient blend, you're just going to build upon it. You don't have to put all the color down right away. Just put a little bit, start blending, and then go back and add some more. So you'll see too, like when I'm doing my crease, I kind of do it with my eye open because I do have hooded eyes, and I don't necessarily want to go through the trouble of doing a cut crease, but you can avoid it a lot of times if you're using a really intense shimmer color, because when you add it, it's kind of do it for you. But I also want to make sure that when I have my eyes open, you can still see a little bit of that darkness, because like if I go like this, it looks like it's a lot. Then once I go like this and I look up, you can barely see any of that darkness showing. And then what I'm going to do is go back with that same crease brush that we applied the Jada color and use that to softly blend out the edges of Enchanted. And then again, go in with a clean brush with no product and use that to blend out the edges even more. So that you just have a very seamless gradient of colors with no harsh lines. So now for the star of the show, we are going to go in with this gorgeous ColourPop Super Shock shadow in the color Let Me Pass. So I'm going to start off at first with a flat shader brush. I'm using my MAC flat brush, and I'm going to kind of place this color on the eye where I want it, and then I'll go back in with my finger and I will intensify it. But I kind of just want to have like a map of where I want this color to go before I put my finger down on my lid, because I have obviously less control. Then I'll go in with my finger and I'll start to tap it on. And as you can see, that color really starts to intensify. Shadow like this, you don't need to go through the trouble of cutting the crease and putting concealer down, because as you can see, you get a pretty sharp line just by using the shimmers. Now if you're going to do a matte color, then you would have to obviously do this, but with shimmer colors you can almost skip that step, which I like because it just saves you so much time. And then of course you'll probably have to go back in with the Enchanted color to help blend the colors together on the edge. Said this in my last video, I love to mix cool and warm tones together. And if you're somebody who wants to do colors like oranges and blues, sometimes are hard to blend in with each other because they can get muddy since they cancel each other out. But if you do one as a shimmer and one as a matte, it is a lot easier to kind of work with those colors and get them to blend versus doing a blending of two matte colors. So that's like another way to use those colors without having such a difficult time. And of course, I'm just gonna clean up my edges. I'm gonna stop there and then I'm gonna work on the rest of my face. So what I like to do and how I like to put on my foundation is I like to put it on first with a brush and then blend it out and set it more with a sponge. So I'm kind of in between colors right now because I'm not really tan and I'm really kind of light, and I just haven't really found my winter foundation as of yet. So right now I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Fresh Wear and then number 475. So what I do is I'm just gonna put some of it onto a foundation brush, and I start to kind of put it on. And this is a very dry matte foundation, which I like. I'm oily and I live in Florida, and even though it's near December, it's still a high of 80, so this works for me. And then I go in with my sponge and I tap it out. I don't like to apply it directly to the sponge because that does cause a lot of the product to get soaked up into the sponge, and you know, we don't got money like that. So, and it's also good for helping to place it in hard to reach areas like by the nose. I also think it helps you put a thinner layer. I like to let it sit and then kind of come back and do a second layer. And I think it's a lot easier to do that when you do the brush as well, because you have more control of how much product you put down. I don't know if it's placebo, but I swear the white beauty blender for some reason works and feels so much better than the pink ones. And I'm in love with it. And so even when all my brushes or sponges are clean, I always grab for this one. Before I do my concealer, I work on my cream contour. And for that, I just use NYX concealer. This is the HD Studio Photogenic Studio Concealer in the color CW07. And it dries really quickly, so I kind of put one area down first and then blend it out and then work on the other side. This is a Morphe brush, but I don't know what the name is it. It is, I think it came in a set, so there's no number on it. I personally prefer to contour with concealers versus like cream contour coloring, because I just feel like the formula and the concealers are better. They're not as like greasy or heavy. So that's just what I always use. But you can use whatever you want. And it may look dark and heavy, but once we put the powder down on top of it, it's gonna kind of lighten it a little bit anyways. So if you overdo it, don't worry. So part of the reason why I also do my contour before I do my under eyes is because I'm old and I have lots of wrinkles and fine lines underneath my eyes, and I need to set it immediately. Otherwise I'm gonna have even worse creasing than I already do. So I like to save that for the very end. And so now we are gonna conceal underneath the eyes. I don't put a lot like all these other YouTubers, because it will get very dry and even more crepe looking underneath my eyes, which I don't like. So what I use is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. I use the color Medium 26, and I will apply this. And then I have to work in tandem. I use the sponge plus a concealer brush. So this is just a Real Techniques concealer brush. And I will use that to kind of blend it out a little bit. Same thing as like concept as with the foundation, to kind of get it where I want it. And then I'll go in with the sponge to kind of blend it out. Then very quickly with what is brush is this? This is a Moto Pro brush, BMX 265 Glow. What I'll do is I'll go in first with just a little bit of powder under my eyes. And then I'll go in with a little bit on the sponge. And I start applying it on the outer corner and then I work my way in because I don't want to concentrate it in the inner corner so that it doesn't look too cakey or heavy, because obviously when you first put it down it has the most amount of product. So if I do it that way, I find that it leaves the under eye not looking so cakey and heavy. And that's how I do the under eye area. Oh, also this is the Ciate Extraordinary Translucent Powder. This is another one I got in an Ipsy Glen bag to try. So once we have the concealer done, then what I do is move on to the rest of the face, and I start to powder it with the Maybelline Loose Fit Me powder in the number 20 light medium. And I just use a flat top brush. This is a Coastal Scents brush, BRB S30. And I start to press this color, this powder, into my skin. I do not swipe. I press to set. Again, I'm very oily. It's like the BP oil spill all over my face. And again, I live in a humid climate, so I don't want to be dewy, I want to be matte. So when you press your powder into your foundation, it really helps to set it. Because if you start swiping it, all you do is move the foundation underneath. And that's not what we want. I will sweep a little bit underneath my eyes to help blend that powder and color in with the powder that I placed underneath. And then also sometimes what I do is I have the same color in the pressed powder form, and I will put my beauty blender into that and just kind of press that on even more into the areas that I know get really oily quickly, which is my forehead and my chin. And because the sponge is still slightly damp, it really helps to even set the powder down even more. Next, we're gonna work on the brows. So I do my eyebrows very different than most people. I don't like the whole Instagram brow, and I don't like a very sharp, like where it looks like it's painted on. That's just not my aesthetic and how I like it to look on me. I love it on other people, I just don't like it on me. So I like to keep my natural brows looking pretty natural, just a little bit more filled in, defined. So I'm just gonna brush through my brows. And then this again is another brow pencil that I got in the Ipsy. This is the Wander Beauty brow pencil in the color. It says dark brown, but it's not dark brown. And it's also very warm for me, which works when I kind of keep up with my hair color. But as you can see, it's like weird brownish purple, whatever. I have to color it. It was a little bit more like a pinky red. So since this is what I have right now, I just use this to fill in the brows and define the shape a little bit. And then next what I do is I just apply a little bit of powder on top. And I don't have a brow powder, so what I do is I take this Juvia's Place, I think this is the Nubian palette, and I just take this dark brown with an angle brush, and I just use that to kind of fill in and darken my eyebrows. So I have two brushes, one's just a little bit thicker, one's a little bit thinner, so for the front of my brow, back of the brow, and I just kind of use that to fill them in. I've always used eyeshadows to fill in my brows, so don't think that you have to use a separate eyebrow product. All right, so now we're gonna move back to the eyes and finish those up. So I'm gonna add my brow bone highlight color. Going back into the Jaclyn Hill palette, I'm gonna dip into Enlighten. And with a fluffy shadow brush, I'm gonna apply that to the brow bone. And then for the lower lash line, we're gonna go with the color Jada. I'm actually gonna use the same M139 brush that we used to apply the dark color to the eyes, but I wiped it off, and I'm gonna use that for underneath my eyes because I like this. It's a good one for me to use to smoke out the lower lash line. And again, because this is a blue and it's a tricky color, I'm very lightly kind of pressing it under my eye first. getting that color where I want it to be. And then I'll start to smoke it out. Next, I'm going to take a black pencil liner and I'm going to tight line my top and lower lash line. So next I'm going to work on the rest of my face. I actually saved my mascara and lashes for the very end because I like to set my face and then do that. This way the setting spray doesn't make my lashes and mascara wet and cause any transfer. So I do it in a little bit different order than some people do, but that's just how I prefer to do it and how I like it. You can do it any way that you like. But we're gonna go back and we're gonna add our bronzer. So for bronzer, I use the Milani Baked Bronzer, and this is in the color 4, and I just use a very flat, fluffy brush. And then for contour, I go in with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil in medium dark brown. It's almost empty. I have another one. I'm just really trying to use this up. And let me tell you, I use this every day. I use it on people, and I use it very generously. This thing has taken me years to go through. Years. It's like the everlasting gobstopper. I just don't think that I'll ever finish it. But I knew it was getting low, and I really love the new packaging, so I had to go buy another one. Sometimes, on occasion, if I want an even more chiseled jawline, I will go in with this Huda Beauty 3D liner, 3D highlighter palette, and I'll take this Aruba color. It's very dark and it's a little bit shimmery, so I take it very sparingly. I use that same brush that I did the cream contour, and I just very lightly will add it because it is super dark and intense. Next, I go in with blush. So today, I think I'm gonna go in with this NYX Baked Blush. This is in the color Ignite. It's like one of my favorite colors. What, do I want this one? Yeah, I do. And I'm just gonna go in with an angled brush that looks like this. Make sure you smile. I like a heavy blush, especially when I first apply my makeup, because I feel like I have yet to find that blush that really like lasts and lasts and lasts all day. They tend to fade out pretty quickly, especially the baked blushes, but this is like just such a pretty color. Then I'm gonna go in with highlight, and today I think for that I'm gonna use this Maybelline Master Chrome in the color Molten Gold, which looks like that. And I just apply it with a tapered highlight brush. This is from Ipsy, it's the B36. And I like to add it also to my Cupid's bow. I also just realized I forgot to add an inner corner highlight, so for the same, using the same color, the enlightened color that we used for the brow bone highlight, I'm going to use that to highlight my inner corner as well. Next, we have lashes. So I like to use a cocktail of, so next we're gonna move on to lashes. Like I like to use a kind of cocktail of lash products to get the desired look. So what I first always do is apply a lash primer. I love the Urban Decay lash primer, but I ran out and I don't have any. So right now what I am using is this L'Oreal Voluminous Primer. And I gotta say, it's pretty good for $5. I don't complain. So I always apply this to my lashes to start off, because my eyelashes, they're pretty decent in length, but they're not very thick. So I love to use this to help with the thickness. And then I go in with a combination of two mascaras. I go in with the Urban Decay Perversion and the Maybelline Colossal Lash. And the reason why I go in with these two is because I love the blackness of this eyeliner, and I love everything about it, but I hate the brush because I feel like it applies it kind of clumpy. And this brush just separates the lashes so nicely and makes them look so good. And the mascara combination, I just think always it just works. It just works. It's just what I've been using for years and years and years. I have not found a better combination since I discontinued my most favorite mascara, which was by the brand Prescriptives. I don't know if you remember, it used to be like the retail stores. They had one called Lash Envy, and it was like $22, and it was the best mascara ever made by man, and then the brand died, and so now I don't have it anymore. So this is what I do. I did mascara without setting my face, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. What I do when I forget is just cover my eyes so that I can avoid getting them wet, and just use the Morphe setting spray. You could go ahead and add lashes to this look. I'm not going to today because I'm quite frankly feeling lazy, and like I said, look at this eyelash combination. Like, you don't even need falsies because the combination of those two mascaras are so amazing. So next, last but not least, is the lips. So I've been sitting here trying to figure out what kind of lip combination to wear with this look, and I think I finally have decided on something that I hope will look pretty decent. So I'm gonna go in with the Urban Decay lip pencil in the color 1993. We're gonna line our lips. I do line and fill in the whole lip because I do find that helps the lipstick to stay longer and not look so weird when it starts to fade. So that's why I do that. And for lipstick, I'm gonna use this Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is in the color Ashton. Everybody, that completes the look. Thank you for sitting through this tutorial with me. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that I gave you some inspiration. Don't be afraid to mix cool and warm tones together, and don't think that you always have to go through the trouble of a cut crease to get the look of a cut crease. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, then please give this video a big thumbs up. If you made it to the end, you might as well go ahead and also click the subscribe button and come back for more. Please leave a comment letting me know if you plan on trying to recreate this look, and I will see you in the next one.